Welcome to the Mama's Village podcast, where Fairfield County moms discover they're not alone in their struggles while uncovering the hidden gems, local treasures, and real solutions that make motherhood in Connecticut not just survivable, but extraordinary. I'm Abby Hartley. I am not an expert, but I love talking to them. And so she is known as the connector and has almost 30 years of experience in PR, marketing, communications, social media, business development, entrepreneurship, and agency leadership. She is a recognized speaker and highlights her best accomplishments are being a single mom and boxer. She is not afraid to be a bold transformer and is currently building new ventures via her Be Your Own G brand. Talk about keeping it diverse. Welcome, Georgette G. Pascale. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me. I love what you're doing and I love your energy already. And I can't wait to learn from you as well. That's what this is all about, right?
Absolutely, yes. Sharing and just being a community is absolutely what we're trying to build here. I love listening to your podcast, Be Your Own G. Tell me a little bit about yourself, about your brand. What does it mean for you?
My main thing is connecting people and highlight those that are kind of humble and have always had their own backs and are kind of leaders, not followers. And, in hopes to inspire someone who's maybe going through a tough time, especially, being an entrepreneur, which we all know is incredibly hard. So that's always my goal. It's like to focus on communication and connect people, whatever venture I'm doing. That's really what's always in the back of my head and has always been. I went to state school. I went to FIT in the city. I couldn't afford anything else, just became a marketing communications major. And it's kind of my passion and my love, learning from others as well as teaching about how we can all communicate better, which is literally what we need right now in this world on every spectrum, whether that's professionally, personally, what have you. And yeah, my kids are amazing. They're 16, almost 18, and 19. So I've got one in college, one going to college. Next week I bring her, and then a junior, incoming junior, rising junior in high school. So I appreciate them because they accept me for who I am. And I just want to show them to have their own back, which is really where Be Your Own G started. My name's Georgette. Everyone calls me G. And I just thought, wow, we all need to have our own backs a little bit more. And sometimes we need to be reminded to have our own back. So that's where the whole concept came, whether it's my podcast or doing any sort of business or comms consulting, which I do. If anyone's, looking for a CMO or needs to understand how to work with an agency or how to do PR, I do that. And then my speaking engagements, which really focus on Be Your Own G and different sub, contexts, whether that's building a company culture or promoting, your own passion or whatever that might be. So those three things all fall under Be Your Own G. And the impetus was really to not be like, I'm amazing, I need to inspire people, but more so, hey, I've made a lot of mistakes and screwed up. Here's what I've learned. Here's how I can simplify things for you and make it more effective and really, efficient, because that's really where we need to go in business and life. Sorry, that's my dog. She'll shut up in a minute.
Okay.
But that's real life, right? Anyway, that's just kind of a quick overview. Thank you.
That's awesome. Before we start and really dive into like the nitty-gritty details, I do want to start with what we always start with, which is our Fairfield County Hidden Gems. And also, what are we listening to? What are we consuming? What are we reading? That kind of thing. So, do you have a Fairfield County shout out?
Oh God, yeah, I have a million, but I think my boxing coach, definitely a hidden gem, someone who would hate that I'm probably promoting him because he's so humble and he's an official ex-pro boxer. He's amazing. And so I think people like him, again, kind of playing off the Be Your Own G and my whole positioning and what I do, it's kind of like people like him that inspire me. He's just amazing and comes to my house, and his name is David Salinas, and we can post his info, but he's also an official for USA Boxing and just a great guy. I've been with him for 8 years, so that's a nice hidden gem many people might not have heard about. I think also when you're talking about just the Black Rock area and going into Bridgeport and all the fun things to do, I used to live over there, and whether that's Fairweather Yacht Club, which is kind of a non-traditional, chiller type of vibe. Things like that are great, and all the bars and live music scene there. I think they're not what people typically, gravitate to. It's kind of the more known things in Fairfield County. So those are two that I love and would love to promote. So there you
Awesome.
go.
I have one just sort of like that. The person that does my hair, her name is Trish Foley. And the way that she is able to build her business around her life, she has three kids of her own, and it's just really inspiring, really awesome to see. It's all word of mouth. She doesn't have a website. She is in Easton, Connecticut. So it's very, very cool, very hidden gem, very like if you want her information, you're gonna have to DM me.
That's so funny because I have the same thing. My friend who's Russian and amazing, and she has like a little room in her basement, and that's who does my hair. Very chill, very. So I love that. I love those shout outs. I think it's like that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading these days?
Oh gosh, so much. It's insane. I feel like in terms of books, there's a few that have helped me as I've, kind of rounded the over 50-year mark of my life. And one is Strength to Strength by Arthur Miller, which is amazing. And it's just kind of like, what are you going to do the second half of your life? How are you going to make it the most fulfilling? It's freaking hard. I mean, so, it's a great book for anyone who's just like contemplating, like, where am I going? I love that book. I think Attached, I forget the author, Doctor something, but if anyone just Googles Attached book, it's a bestseller. It's really all about learning your attachment style. And I feel like it's very important for professional and personal reasons to understand that because that's what helps you communicate. And
Yeah.
whether it's a romantic relationship, being a parent, a coworker, being a boss, any of that, it's really interesting. It'll help you kind of look inward. So I think that one's fun for any age and just can even help you with motherhood easily because just talking to your child, thinking about things, it's really great, very simplistic. And I realized I'm more of a, I'm such a spaz, an anxious attached where I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be loyal to the end. And which is great. But then you have to understand and learn that to proceed with your relationships. And I just find that stuff fascinating.
Yeah, totally.
Yep. It's a Dr. Amir something. I can look it up, but it's if you Google it, it's great.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I have been reading, or I've read multiple times, a book by Will Guidara. It's called Unreasonable Hospitality. And I really love it because it is a business concept, but I really do think about it in more of like you can apply it to anything that you're doing. And it's the concept of going above and beyond and just creating exceptional and memorable experiences. And it's sort of more of a philosophy of empathy and connecting with people and sort of exceeding expectations instead of just like providing a service or doing your job or whatever. It's just sort of a way to make yourself feel a little bit more fulfilled with what you're doing, because when you do go do that, it actually helps inside of you and it brings something out. And I just think right now with AI and with so many things that you feel so disconnected, to spread this word of like you can actually empathize with humans and you can actually build loyalty and foster strong relationships by going above and beyond, to me is really interesting. And I think a little bit trying to swing the pendulum the other direction of like not caring, which I
Yeah.
think is, something that's like really cool.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as cool anymore.
Love that. And yeah, speaking of that, if I can add two
Yeah.
quickie things, because you just got me thinking, I don't know if you know Keith McNally, but he's a restaurateur, Baltazar, all of those biggies. And he wrote a great book, I Regret Almost Everything. And it's a biography and it's absolutely amazing. I'd recommend to anyone just about his stroke and his suicide attempt and his amazing ability to create these restaurants. But the whole theme is self-doubt throughout and that we all have it. And I think that's another important thing to bring to the forefront for people as well. And, just even though he's so successful financially with his five-star restaurants and all this stuff, that's that self-doubt that creeps in. And that's a really good one because it's fun too. And just very interesting overall to say, none of us have it figured out. Like, let's
Right.
reiterate that. It's not like, oh my God, I'm great and I do this well. And it's like, we're all just kind of winging it in a way. And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I'd love to talk more, talk about your businesses and talk about the things that you're doing. I know you've got Bo's Dough, right? Which
Yep.
is is it a mobile catering company?
Yes. So I was a caretaker last year for my uncle, who is basically like my big brother, and he was very ill And his wish was that he was a lifelong roofer, great guy, hilarious. And I have a very tiny family. So my dad's youngest brother, my dad's not here anymore. Anyway, we were very close. And his dream was to always have a food truck when he retired. He wanted to do it so bad. And so when he was sick in the hospital, we basically said, my son thought of the name and we said, ooh, fried dough, mobile fried dough. Everyone loves that. We could do it the real Italian way because we're all Italian with our sauce, and we'll call it Bo's Dough. So it's basically a little trailer that I have, and it's, in Connecticut only, mobile fried dough. And it's really fun for any age because they're fried dough balls that are either with parm and red sauce or with powdered sugar, and so much better than the carnival stuff, but like real Zeppelis almost. So we made it. I drove to Brooklyn, bought a trailer, outfitted it with the help of several people, and Bo's Dough was born. So it's something we do kind of seasonally, and my kids help. And again, it's not like this big money maker, but getting back to, strength to strength in the book I talked about earlier, it's kind of like the different kinds of wealth and what that's bringing to me. It's not like it's going to make me a millionaire, although maybe it will, who knows? But it's more about fulfilling someone's dream and bringing that and like filling a need and connecting with people. So it's been super fun. I mean, I've literally had to learn, you go from being like the CEO of a decent sized company and just being on Zooms all day to like learning how to fill propane tanks and outfit a trailer and plumbing and hitching it and like the stuff I had no idea about. So for me it was more a life learner thing too, like to have my kids see me learning this stuff, which if you would have told me 5 years ago, I'd be like rolling up to fill a 40-pound propane tank, like just crazy. But I love that stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, I did that. Like, when you make a steady paycheck, like I did when I owned my agency and got paid very well, to, oh my gosh, I just made a few $100s off a gig, but it's so well earned. And I love that my kids see that. And it makes me excited just to like see community. Like this weekend, I have a 1-year-old birthday party, so adorable. She's so excited, and a family reunion Saturday and Sunday. So it's like, it's just nice to witness that stuff, I think, as well, and spread a little joy. If it's fried dough, as silly as it sounds, it spreads a little joy. Great. So that's Bo's Dough. It's been a lot of fun, actually.
Would you say that that is bringing you the most excitement out of all the businesses? You have a couple of things. You got your hands in a couple things. You've also got
Totally. So I have the Be Your Own G, which is really the podcast, the speaking, if anyone needs speaking opportunities for like keynotes, workshops on communication, anything like that. And then the consulting. So, I'm like a fractional CMO for some companies just to help them with things overall. And then I've got Bo's Dough, and then I've got Middle Meats, which is something I created. It's a Facebook group because there was really no place for parents of tweens and teens specifically to commiserate, to learn, to feel good, to ask questions, to get provided resources. It's all like there's so much mommy and me stuff when you have like a 1-year old. And then when you get to be like my age, and it's like, wait, I'm caretaking, I'm working, I'm raising teenagers, which is really hard. I wanted to create a space for that in Connecticut, and it's been really fun and successful. We have a few sponsors, and we do everything from, therapists will come and do lives. And podcast with us to provide information, post high school choices, mental health overall, managing sports, all of the things that affect us, because the whole impetus of me creating this was seeing how hard my teens work and almost like feeling bad for them because there's so much pressure. It's self-imposed from school, grades, especially around here, which is good. We have these great school systems, but it's like I kind of wanted a place where people didn't, have to feel alone. It doesn't matter if you're mom, dad, single parent, whatever. It doesn't matter. And it's been great because that, I'll get DMs from time to time like, oh my gosh, thank you for introducing me to that woman. She helped me find the right therapist for my kid. And that shit's like, priceless. Again, it's like, again, this isn't making me money, but it's an initiative that is needed and I'm filling a void. So those are the three things I have going on. And as for what, they all bring me different joys and, excitement at different moments. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think any of us do, but I feel like I'm filling a need right now. It's definitely keeping me busy. And when, my next child is out of the house, then I'd love to do more internationally speaking and things like that, like I used to do with my business. So it's like who knows what's going to happen. They're very diverse. I like that I get to work with different audiences and still keep my marketing mind sharp and like, do kind of the corporate, hey, like, da, 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 but also really get my hands dirty and really talk to the community and help them out. So it's been fun. I don't know what'll happen with it, but I think I'm providing something of value. And when I feel like maybe it's not valuable anymore, I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm sure, I'll figure something out to do or a few things.
So what age were your kids when you started to sort of branch out and you decided, did you decide that you were gonna leave your ad agency or sell it, or what happened? What ended up happening?
Well, I started my business almost 20 years ago when I was pregnant with my first kid. It was a crazy time. And then I had, three kids in 4 years, started a business, it was insanity. An ex-husband who traveled all the time. Like it was just like craziness. So it's kind of like they've always known me as an entrepreneur and they've always known that my job's important to me, but more importantly, that I like it. I think that's the biggest parenting mistake people make is they just bitch about their jobs constantly, which I get. But also, I want my kids to know, hey, even if it's not successful, I've enjoyed doing this. Do I enjoy all of it 100% of the time? No, and that's not life. That would be boring and weird, and it's just not how it goes. So I feel like, that. And then in terms of selling, I never thought about it. People had approached me for years. And then when someone made me an offer, it just felt like the right fit in time. And I thought, okay, this is probably good. I have my first kid going to, it makes sense right now. And I feel like I've brought my baby to where my baby doesn't need me anymore. And another bigger, parent can help my baby get to the next level. So, yeah, so that's kind of the journey. And my kids have always known me to be that way and like, understand that I do enjoy it and have seen me fail. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. What are some of the struggles that you bumped up against when starting a business?
Whoo, girl, do you have another 8 hours? I'm always very transparent. I just did a talk in Denver 2 weeks ago about my mistakes because I feel like people do these keynotes and they're all like inspirational, but it's like, can we talk about what we screwed up? Because please, I don't want anyone else to make that mistake. And you could teach me. We all have information, it's all energy, right? I mean, I think the main one is for someone like me is I'm a good manager, but I'm almost so generous to a fault to people who work with me. And I put so much trust in people that ultimately, like, my expectations might be a little high and I need to learn to manage those. It's been a personal and professional struggle. And when you're an entrepreneur, you do expect a lot. And I'm like, wait, but I was loyal. I don't get it. Why are you, there's a lot of, and it's not about taking it personally or ego. It's just more about a respect thing. I don't know, maybe because I'm Italian, whatever, but just the way I grew up. So I think that's been really hard is when people don't treat you accordingly, when you do good for them. But that's okay because I'm still going to be a generous person, whether it's with my time, my leadership, my mentorship, because it comes back to you in different ways. But that's a struggle because feelings do get in the way sometimes, or you feel like, oh, wow, I really trusted this person. This is insane. I've had
Yes,
so
I
many
mean,
deals and stuff go wrong.
yeah, making sure that people respect you. I feel like that's a struggle, absolutely, like especially as you're starting something new, especially as you're, sort of feeling around what you want to be doing and where's your passion, that kind of thing. I could definitely see a struggle for sure. How do you overcome it? What do you do?
I've had to learn that really, again, the whole be your own G thing, like my opinion has to be the one that matters, my gut. I've learned to shut out the noise a lot, which is what I try to, teach other people. I think with social media and everything, we're very tasked with asking a million opinions and never really getting the right answer. And it just delays our thinking process. So I think that's where my whole like action over ideas thing is I just keep going whether that's a minute at a time. It doesn't mean I have to do something all day. Maybe I take an hour, but it's literally just keep going and trying and kind of knowing in the back of my head, this isn't going to be easy. It's going to be really hard. Like, I think if you tell yourself that, not to psych yourself out, but like, this is so exciting. And also, yeah, there's going to be bad days. Like, people don't like to admit that and like acknowledge that and like live that. And just know we all don't really have a choice. I mean, not to sound cheesy, but our time here is incredibly limited. And, I know that just from being a caretaker and everything I see, and you get older and people pass and people tell you what they wish they would have done, which is why, books like The Five Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom are so important because time is really the most important asset, right? So I think it's like remembering those things. I have like something on my fridge that's like gratitude, acceptance, presence, just like being in the moment and knowing you have to keep going forward. And also, the biggest thing I've learned is rest. I mean, I am like a dynamo who goes for years and years, especially the past decade. Now in my 50s, I'm valuing rest or a nap or reading a book in the middle of the day for an hour and a half, and I don't feel guilty about it. So I think it's like incorporating things. It doesn't need to be yoga and meditation 8 hours a day. That's not for me. I just can't. I try. I'm sorry, but I can't. So it's like finding things to kind of keep you going, and the in-betweens when shit maybe is not going that great is really what life is about. It's funny, I say this all the time in talks, and it really resonates with people. I had an old therapist back in Pittsburgh. I lived in Pittsburgh for 10 years before I moved back here. Anyway, go Steelers. And she used to say, Rachel Rosen, love you, girl. I'm going to send this to you. I always shout her out in the podcasts I do because she used to always say, where do you get your goodies every day? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, your kids, your partner, your friends, they're not going to provide that. So it's like, you have to really, from like strangers, from other people, like my mailman, I literally talk to him every day and we BS and we laugh and we have the best time. Where do you get your goodies every day that's not where you think it should be? Like, oh, my kids are going to really support me, or my husband, or my it's really the other people. And I think when you go with that mindset, like that's why I love traveling and stuff and just talking to random people on planes. I love that stuff. My kids are like, you talk to anyone. And I'm like, but it's more so because I learn more from that than a friend who's maybe just yesing me to death, or a kid who's like, fine, mom, I'll do, you can't always get your stuff from those everyday people. And I feel that that's really applicable to this conversation because that's what keeps me going. Like seeing people who maybe aren't in my life on the daily 24/7. And I'm like, damn, they're inspiring. I just saw what he did. Okay, cool. I like that. And I just think it's a thing, especially with motherhood, to keep in the back of your mind, like get inspo from other places. It doesn't have to be, something specific. It could be whatever, inspires you. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love where do you get your goodies at? Because it could be someone, it could be something,
yes.
it could be, it could be just, I mean, it could just be being outside. That's where I get my goodies. That's where I get
Exactly.
my fulfillment.
Like getting some vitamin D and looking in the sun for 10 minutes and like chilling out and petting your dog. Whatever it is, it doesn't need to be like I'm going to Europe for 3 months. It can
It could
literally
be.
be
Or
whatever. It's like standing in
whatever.
the shower for 10 minutes. Whatever, that's your goodies. And like talking to someone who makes you feel good instead of maybe you're like, ooh, that person might be a little judgy. Like choosing that
Yes.
and like respecting it and honoring it and loving it and like giving that back to people. It really is what
Very
life's about.
motivating. And it does help you. Yes, I think so too. I think that it really does help keep you going in a tough time, especially if you are struggling with some of that, whether it's self-doubt or whether it's getting respect from other people, whether it's, any sort of relational, situations that you've got going on. I mean, for me, self-doubt is definitely a thing, especially I'm starting a podcast. I've got, my three kids, they're teenagers as well. And I have a lot of big dreams, a lot. I'm a big dreamer. And I have a lot of things that I want to be doing, and self-doubt just creeps in. What do you do to make that self-doubt go away? Like how do you
I think it's like it's the age-old question, and that's why I loved that book by Keith McNally, The Regret Almost Everything, because like it reminds you everyone has it. I think sometimes I think the pendulum swinging, like big social is kind of over a little bit, and like influencers are going to start becoming regular people like you and I, and that's a good thing. I think people put themselves on up to a standard and want perfectionism, where I'm more about progress. I think if you start to look at things like that, you're like, oh, okay, self-doubt. Yeah, this might fail, but I made a little progress and I got some good feedback, and I'm not going to take it personally. And I'm going to use that to go forward and change my fried dough recipe, I'm not going to get offended. I'm going to soak it in and move forward. I think that's really how you get over the self-doubt, because I think when people are heavy in self-doubt and you hear one thing negative or one thing, you internalize it and you take it personally. And it's like, maybe just say, oh, that actually helped me. Cool. Or this person's miserable, nothing to do with me. Cool. It's very hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but I think if you realize and have and acknowledge it, like we talked about before, like acknowledging, okay, I'm having self-doubt. I feel like crap today. Maybe you stop for the day, whatever you're doing, and you start fresh in the morning. Like grant yourself that, whatever seems logical. A lot of this stuff is like, you and I aren't therapists, we're not mental health, but it's like just like a logical, commonsensical 101 is like taking a break and like pausing and honoring, that maybe you always learn, you know what I mean? And it's like it's not failing, it's learning. It's like, okay. And again, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So it's like the acknowledgement and then saying, okay, I'm going to get my goodies from some people. I'm going to keep going. And by the way, if it doesn't work out, I know I tried, and here's what else I'm going to do. I think we don't, again, with the shiny Instagram post, no one thinks about they everyone wants to be so perfect, but I feel like it really is that progress word. And I even see it with my kids and SAT scores, and like you see it, it's like, oh my God, maybe you're not going to be perfect. That is so okay. Not everyone is going to be a D1 athlete. Let's get over it. Like, I mean, like my kids are well aware of that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think it's also expectation, managing those so freaking hard, but managing those expectations, I think is so key to all of this. Especially being a mom, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's like, it's going to change on the daily. Things are so iterative. So if you accept that they're not going to be, we're such creatures of routine, but if you accept that things are going to change daily, or the dog's going to bark during the podcast, or okay, like 10 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Abby. And I am so sorry, but I'm also like, we're having a great conversation. It's all good, So, like, I think it's just those literal, like, examples of life of just keep going, because self doubt is, I think, always going to be there. And I think it's like, I don't want to sound morbid because this isn't at all, but it's like thinking about the end of your life. Like, who do you want to be there? What are you really going to give a crap about? Like, I mean, that's not a negative thought in my opinion. I think about that like, oh my God, did I take my kids to travel and spend my money on experiences over couture? Yeah, okay. That's like a win right now, right? Because I don't know how long I'm going to be able to be around them, and you get it with teens. So those are the things, like the different kinds of wealth and the strength to strength books, where I'm like, okay, I'm looking at those more as well. Because it's hard, and just acknowledging that it is the right step, and like the first step. And then it's like, okay, this is it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I think about sometimes is basically like shoot the moon and you're going to get somewhere. You're going to get the stars at least.
Yep.
And so just go for it. And, and so I try to keep that in the back of my mind too, because who knows what could happen, what it could lead. And, if you keep a positive mindset, it generally will help you. So I think also thinking about this is this question of what would you do if you couldn't fail? Like if failure wasn't the issue
Yep.
and if you didn't care what other people thought,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do?
Yep.
And maybe that is the North Star. You know,
Definitely.
what would you do
Definitely.
if you couldn't fail?
I think I'm doing it actually. Maybe I do too much. I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm like doing a fight in October in the Masters tournament for boxing. I mean, it's not like I'm going in there saying I'd love to win, but I mean, it's an experience, and I got to pro corner a fight, because I'm so interested in boxing. That was a dream. It was hard, and felt lucky. So I feel like I'm doing as it comes. I'm trying to grasp those things. I don't know. It's such a good question, and I'd have to say I really don't have an answer, because I feel like I am trying everything I possibly can right now. But again, ask me in 2 months and I'll probably have 10 new ideas
What's your
that,
biggest goal?
my main goal at this point is not like a tangible goal. It's more live my fullest as healthy as I can, because I've had some things happen, health wise, and just keep doing what kind of lights me up and what I feel like people need. So, not to sound like Miss America or something, but that's literally the goal right now. I'm not, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, it's like, I want to run a multi-million dollar company. My goals are just much more, hey, I'd love to meet with my 3 kids, and if they have partners or they don't, whatever, it doesn't matter, once a year, and fly them to a new country and like chill for a week. Just like
Yeah.
good times, staying healthy. Like I stopped drinking alcohol a year and a half ago. Just like little things to make me feel my best. And that's a long time coming. And through therapy and things I've been through, like we all have, it culminates into something that's maybe bigger than like a financial goal or a time goal. I don't want to live forever. I just want to live to the fullest and know, I've done everything I can do to make myself happy, which for a while, I lived for so many others. So I think, again, that be your own G, like doing things for you is so damn important.
Yeah. What does be your own G mean to you in terms of like, obviously we know it means have your own back, but what can you share with us about when you said, "Hey, I need to be building a brand around having my back"?
Yeah, no, it's such a great question. I think, I had a really crazy decade where it started off where like my dad died, husband left me, ex-best friend went crazy. Like I just had all these things where like three people left in a few months and I was still running my business and doing all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have been so worried about everyone else, my employees, everyone, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. But I've almost been caring too much. It's like you need to remember to water yourself, right? Because I've been watering everyone else, watering, it's like the typical thing a lot of women talk about, some men. So I think it was like not only having my own back, but like listening to myself and going with my gut and really not giving a crap what anyone thinks or says or the experts say or looking for outward advice, really trying to like look into myself for the first time, which has been incredibly powerful. And kind of like any advice I'd give someone like you starting a podcast, right, is like doing it for you. So I think really being your own G is like ultimately doing it for yourself, not for the followers, the likes, the downloads. That's great and we need that. But like for example, my BRNG podcast, it's not like it's like Call Her Daddy or something like downloads that are in the million, but we have a loyal cult base of, small and mighty people who do spread the word and will DM me every month and say, wow, I really loved this interview. Because it's really about people of all different kinds of, whether it's geography, job, any of that. So I think it's like really doing it for you, and not paying attention to all that because we can get very tied up in that these days. And I think when you do it for you, that's when it comes a little bit more naturally and it's like the energy you attract. Um, so that's really what encompassed, the whole be your own G brand for me. It's like, and then people just saying to me like, gee, you always just do it, try it, even if you fail. Like you always seem to have your own back. And I was like, oh, be your own G. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? And then people were receptive. So it was kind of iterative that way, but I feel like it's about listening to yourself, going with the 101 stuff that you know in your heart, not overanalyzing. I mean, the way I see people overanalyze doing Instagram posts or videos, it's like, oh my God, like just be yourself. Like just go, 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 go. Like please, like that authenticity and originality. We need more of that.
Right.
So I think that's like the impetus, and that's ultimately where I like to see it help other people because they're like, oh, you're right. Like I could do this, and here's why. And it doesn't need to be just about numbers and ROI and every acronym in the book, because that coming from corporate, that's what we know.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And then when it comes to your kids, how do you go through all of this stuff and struggle and go through all your and make sure that you don't F them up?
I think, any day now we'll see how I'm doing. I mean, who know, like who knows? I don't know. Like, and one thing I ask them all the time because I have a lot of room for improvement, is what can I do better, guys? And I don't think a lot of moms ask that. They're just like, you messed up, da da da. But it's like, what can I do better here? I feel like something's off. Like, is there something? Because I know I repeat myself too much. Moms are like, we all have our thing and we're not going to be perfect. So I don't know if I'm effing them up, but I will say I've always been incredibly honest. We just were in Europe for a week, and every night at dinner we talked about a few things, and we were kind of like, what do we admire about the other person? Even though we get in our fights and our BS, you're on vacation, everyone pisses everyone off. That's life, right? But like, what do we admire? And one of my kids said, "You are always yourself. You've always been yourself, and you just try things and do things." And I could never do that, I don't think. And I was like, that's like the best compliment. Or like I see someone from high school and they don't know I sold $1 million company, run a dough truck, done all the shit I do. And they're like, oh my God, you're the same old G. Like you're literally the same person like 45 years later. What the hell? You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff I feel like I want my kids to know. It's not making them inherit it, but just seeing that as an example. And I swear like a sailor and I do whatever. Like whatever. I'm definitely, eclectic, as they call me, but like I hope that even when I embarrass them and annoy them, like all moms do, like I inspire them to hopefully be just a little bit more version of themselves every day they live. And if that's what I've done, then that's probably the only job I can do, and then there's just so much that isn't in your hands, as a mom. I mean, you just have to trust and go with what you can because there's so many unknowns, especially with teens. Like, you hear people toddlers, but it's like teens, it's like, oh my God, driving, da da da. It's like, whoo, it's a lot of drama. You know what I mean? So it's like you gotta just let some stuff go, be trusting, and hopefully set an example, but a real one, and something that is attainable for them and not you need to go to this school and do this and but more just helping them be themselves. And I think the biggest issue, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, accepting your child for who they are,
Yeah.
I mean, within reason, obviously, if they're doing something horrible, but like accepting the way they are and not like, oh my God, why aren't you wearing this? Oh my God, why aren't you applying here? Oh my God, why aren't you playing? Da-da-da. Like, I see so much of that, and it's like just accept them. I have three kids like you. They could not be more different. So you gotta pivot to that stuff, you know what I mean? And I think that's really important, to mirror to them, so it's not, because everyone's different. And that's why I was so successful in client service, because it wasn't copy and paste, we're going to do this, insert name here. And it was more bespoke business, like, okay, what do you need that's different? How can we service you the best we can? So kind of is through every thread of life, right? Whether you're parenting, running a team, an employee, what, it doesn't matter, running in a local organization. That should always be the thread of things in my book.
What do you have going on the horizon? What new thing are you thinking about dipping your hand in that you can share?
I think what I'd love to do is I'm in training camp right now. I'm boxing in a few minutes. So like I'm getting through this fight in October. That's it's a big deal. Like I have to eat really well. Like it's intense, it's intense and I'm not 25. So getting through that and then really more international stuff. I'm definitely someone who's always enjoyed travel, for my old job and stuff, but really doing more talks or workshops or something. I don't know what that is yet. But internationally, getting back out there that way, I think it would be a lot of fun for me, and it would just bring value to a lot of, American companies that are opening something there, vice versa. I think there's a lot we can do, to enhance that as things in AI and things become more intertwined. So that's it, and kind of, keep doing what I'm doing with these three initiatives, see where it goes and what it morphs into. But definitely looking forward to the rest of my 50s, I'll tell you that. And like, I feel like there's going to be some cool stuff and cool failures and hopefully cool knockouts. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, yes, absolutely. This was amazing.
Thank you for the platform. I think you're amazing, and I'd love to have you on my podcast. And I think we do a crossover. And just, know everyone's screwing up and doing the best they can. Know everyone doesn't have the answers. That could give you a little solidarity on the days, and also let yourself cry. I had a breakdown on vacation, and my son's like, "What is wrong with you?" Like, we were walking, and I was thinking about my dad, and I've never cried about him in 8 years since he passed. And something came over me, and I think my kids were like, "What?" But I was like, look, sometimes I cry and I felt better after and I got some stuff out. So just do what feels natural, worry about you and your close circle, and don't forget to get your goodies outside that circle and, laugh. Like, let's laugh a little more. I know things are like a shit show sometimes, but like, I don't know. Like, let's look at what we do have and try and giggle a little bit. I could tell you you'll feel so much better
Yes,
even after you have like a breakdown or
oh,
something.
I agree. I agree. The more I can laugh, the better. Oh my gosh, I want to do So
Yes.
many laughing things. I'm so sick of the sad.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the stress. I'm so sick of the fear and the stress and the please just make me laugh. That's it.
Exactly. Oh my God. Well, we'll get together and we'll laugh. I love
Let's do
it.
it. Where can we find Bo's Dough? How can we find you on the Be Your Own G? Like, where can we find you?
Okay, so basically on Instagram is always the best place because I don't have official websites because I'm lazy and just like a one-stop shop. You know me, Miss Efficient. So Instagram at Be Your Own G and also Bo's Dough on Instagram. So two easy handles. You can find the most there. Middle Meats is on a Facebook group. Just search up Middle Meats, black and white logo. You can't miss it. But also just reach out if there's anything I can help with. It doesn't need to be like, you hiring me, but just more like if anyone wants to chat or, any of this resonated with you, I'd love to learn from other people like I am from you, Abby. So that's really the ultimate goal.
Awesome.
Have a great day.
You too. And we'll talk
Okay.
soon.
All
Thanks.
right. Ciao.
Bye.